This July, we're taking life seriously. Cardiac arrest is scary and more common than you might think. Did you know that every year nearly 9 million people will experience a cardiac event outside of hospital? Would you know what to do? I'm Australian actor Steve Bastoni, and I'm urging everyone to learn CPR as part of our Don't Die July campaign. Visit don'tdiejuly.com and sign up today, because you can't put a price on life.
If you've been told to pull up your socks, then make sure it's a pair of TNT socks. The TNT shop is now open at tntradio.live. Critically analyzing global affairs, the Muckrakers on today's News Talk, TNT.
Well, welcome back to the Muckrakers with me, Andrew Eborn, and what an historic day. As predicted right here on the Muckrakers, Labour have won a landslide majority. Starmageddon is here. It's a dramatic night in British politics. The Tories got the worst result ever in their history, and as we speak, Rishi Sunak has accepted responsibility for the election defeat. And at the moment, strange this sort of interregnum, we have no prime minister until basically the new one comes in. So a really strange position. Nigel Farage, success there as well, his 8th attempt. He has now got a seat for Clacton. Jeremy Corbyn has also, who's been a parliamentary member for years and years and years, he's won as an independent. What I find really interesting are the actual stats, though, because Labour basically got 411 seats, which is up 214 seats from last time. That's and 34% of the vote. The Tories got 121 seats, which is 251 less than they had last time, fewer than they had last time, with 24% of the votes. Lib Dems, as I predicted, got 71 seats. That's 63 seats more. But interestingly, just 12% of the total votes, whereas Reform, who had 14% of the votes, bizarre, only got 4 seats. What we need to look at is that whole system. Is democracy dead? Well, we'll be talking about that in later editions of the Muckrakers. Because here on the Muckrakers, what we like to do, as you know, is we like to shine a spotlight on those issues that a lot of media outlets, other media outlets, don't. We like to shine more heat and, or rather more light and less heat on those particular subjects. And we like to bring in experts from around the world. And we've been doing a deep dive on 9/11. And I'm very keen to keep asking those questions, because there are so many questions to be asked, but also to look at the parallels there might be with other world events, and in particular the Hamas attack, the terrorist attack on the 7th of October. Well, to help me do that, I have 2 brilliant experts, a husband and wife team, and Gail's looking much bigger now. She was looking tiny in rehearsals, but she's looking a lot better. So today I'm joined, it's me, Andrew Eborn. I'm joined by Richard Gage and Gail Gage, and it's only about 4 o'clock in the morning for you. How are you both?
Wonderful, thank you. We're awake now.
It's going great this morning already.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Wide awake. There's a Farron Young song there somewhere, 4 in the morning. And that's about the time, as I predicted, that it was very apparent here that Keir Starmer was going to be victorious, and we entered the era of Starmageddon. That happened about 4:30 this morning. Let me fill you in on a bit of background. Richard, he's an architect of 30 years in the San Francisco Bay Area. He's a member of the American Institute of Architects and founder and former CEO of Architects and Engineer for 9/11 Truth. He's now independent. He, along with his wife Gail, the wonderful Gail, continues to lead the charge towards a real investigation into the destruction of the World Trade Center high-rise buildings on Tuesday, September the 11th, 2001. His website, which I would urge you to go and have a look at, I've been doing a deep dive at all the phenomenal material there, is richardgage911.org. That's richardgage911.org. And it contains all sorts of extensive documentation on 9/11 and other things. And Gail has been by his side, husband and wife, for how many years?
Well, our anniversary was just like a week ago, and it's our 5th anniversary, but we've actually been together, and I've been able to be helping him for going on 8 years.
Good heavens. Well, congratulations. 5 years. Well done, you. It's and work tirelessly. And I think what I love about it is when husband and wives can get together and share a passion, if you like, for searching for the truth, because that's what we like to look at. And you're his co-interviewer on Richard Gage 9/11 Unleashed. We have a sort of Piers Morgan. Everybody's unleashed at the moment in this media space. So it's going to go. Well, Unleashed today, because what I'm really keen to look at are these parallels. And we're going to do a deep dive into the parallels with the Hamas terrorist attack on September the 11th. But before we do that, let's just remind everybody, because I looked at this a few weeks ago, is about Building 7 and why it's important when we're looking at 9/11. Start us off on that, Richard.
Yeah, indeed. Go ahead, Gail.
Go ahead. I will fill you in on Building 7 because Richard's got the expertise for everything after that. So it's really important that the audience knows, all of you know, which is something I didn't know until I met Richard, that there was actually a third building, Building 7, that collapsed on 9/11. Building 7 was a 47-story skyscraper that on the afternoon of 9/11, 5:20, after witnesses heard explosions, mind you, the building collapsed. It just suddenly collapsed symmetrically in its own footprint at free fall speed. That's as fast as like a brick falling through down to the ground if you drop it. So Richard is going to be giving us the details on why that is impossible and why NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, their report concluded that Building 7 fell due to a few scattered office fires. But never in world history has a steel-framed, fire-protected skyscraper collapsed due to fire before or after 9/11. So that's a huge red flag. I didn't know about Building 7 until I met Richard. So I think it's safe to assume that a lot of people don't know about that third building.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I had a look at that, and I've seen some of the incredible footage which there is, and I would urge people to go and have a look at that if they haven't seen it already. But basically, the building just spontaneously collapses. It completely falls down in a way which the people are suggesting, and the experts are suggesting, that it's basically, it was effectively consistent with a controlled explosion. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And the evidence shows exactly that. It's one thing to have a building uniquely falling at that acceleration of freefall straight down into its own footprint in under 7 seconds. That alone is proof of controlled implosion. In fact, it looks exactly like the old hotels we have here in this country, where they bring them down by implosion. You cannot tell the difference. That means not one of the 80 columns in this building gave any resistance for that period of freefall, which is a third of its 7-second fall. But the evidence is what's extraordinary. In fact, FEMA gives it to us on a silver platter in a metallurgical report that was included in the original FEMA report of 2002 in Appendix C. What do they say? Intergranular melting with liquid molten iron invading the grain boundaries, a sulfur, a corrosion attack on the steel, they say. And you can see the steel, and it's got silver dollar size holes in it. Well, office fires cannot do that to steel. What can? Well, thermite can. Thermite is an incendiary used by the military to cut through steel like a hot knife through butter. So we have the clear evidence. What did NIST do with this evidence? They threw it out when they took over the